We are floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you two badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingmen Show, where we're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you two badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingmen Show. My name is Commander Drew Brown, my wingman, my friend, the guy who watches my six, my main man, Dr. Paul Thompson. How you doing today, Brother Paul?
Commander Drew, I'm doing good today. It's good to see you. Looks like you got a lot of action going on behind you with flames and metal and landing gear and whatever.
Yeah, that AI is pumping up with these jets. I just take my imagination and I run with it. All right, Dr. P. All right, people out there, let's start off with the quote of the day. I like this one. To live fully is to recognize the beauty of the now, unburdened by the past or future. One more time. To live fully is to recognize the beauty of the now, unburdened by the past or future. And that was actually quoted by Alicia Keys. Do you remember Alicia Keys there, Dr. Paul?
Yeah, I do remember Alicia Keys. She's still performing. She was in Vegas last time I was there. But yeah, right. Unburdened by the past or the future, basically kind of living in the now. But I think that really, to me, that means she's kind of relaxing.
No doubt about it. And you know, Alicia Keys did the no makeup little drill. She wasn't wearing any more makeup. She said her beauty was naturally beautiful, and she is a gorgeous woman. You
Mm.
remember that when she stopped wearing makeup for a little while?
Yeah, I think that, I don't know, was that in the 90s or just recently?
I think it was just about 10 years ago.
Okay, yeah, yeah, but that sounds about right. Yeah, I do remember that. I can't tell the difference when she's wearing it or not, to be honest with
Well, she's a beautiful woman. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Wingman Show. Hey, Doc, did you see this year's World Happiness Report? That dang Finland, it's done it again. 9 straight years at the happiest country on earth. Those Nordic folks have figured something out. I'm telling you something. Dr. Paul, what do you think they've figured out?
Well, I guess they figured out something, Commander Drew, because, Finland, Iceland, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway, those are 5 of the top 6 spots. That's not luck, it's, culture built on trust, equality, good governance, balance, shared values. But this year, there's a twist. Did you know that Costa Rica jumped to number 4? That's the highest ever for a Latin American country.
Wow, that's huge. I loved Costa Rica when I went down there, and they have this thing called Pura Vida. I think they live that way. Tell me about it, Dr. Paul.
Yeah, Pura Vida. Yeah, you were telling me about it. I've learned a lot recently. A lot of it comes down to that Pura Vida, and that's the simple way of living, having gratitude, having community, a sense of community. They invest in people and nature, not just a gross national product. It's a great reminder that happiness isn't always about having more stuff and junk. It's about what really matters day to day, Commander Drew.
You're very right, Dr. Paul. And you know, when I was down there, I heard and learned that Costa Rica doesn't even have a military because they put all their money into education. But I have bad news, Dr. P. The US, they have slipped from 17th to 23rd. And the report says younger Americans are actually less happier than they used to be, Paul. That's surprising considering all the technology and opportunities they have. Don't you agree?
Yeah, true, Commander Drew. But the technology isn't everything. Social connection hasn't kept up with social media. Well, the report suggests that young people in many parts of the world are actually happier, but especially in places where they're rebuilding hope, like Central and Eastern Europe, while the high income countries have rising stress and isolation that are taking a toll. You see it every day, don't you?
Yes, I do. And you just said it. The happiest countries aren't necessarily the richest, actually. They're the ones that invest in people, community, and meaning. Maybe we all need a little bit more Pura Vida in our lives. Don't you think, Paul?
Absolutely. So whether you're in Helsinki, Finland, or Honolulu, Hawaii, been in both places, happiness comes from connection, purpose, and gratitude. Three things you can't buy, but you can practice them every day if you try.
That's very well said, Doc. So, to all our listeners, take care of your people. Keep finding joy in small things. And remember, a happy life is the one you build, not the one you buy. Money cannot make you happy. Yeah, we're ready for our good news now. All right, Dr. Paul, check this out. iPads in kindergarten, YouTube videos at snack time. Parents aren't taking that anymore. They're pushing back on screens in the early grades. Welcome back to the Wingman Show again. Dr. Paul, let's talk about our young people and technology. We've got more tools, more connections, and more screens than ever before. So, why do you think so many young people are feeling less happy, Paul?
Well, that's a great question, Commander Drew. The data tells a clear story. In wealthy countries like the US and Canada and Australia, youth happiness has actually dropped. They get instant access to the world, but too often it's like a highlight reel. It's not real life. Comparisons, pressure, and perfectionism have become daily downloads.
Yeah, you're right there. When we were growing up, if you messed up, maybe a few people saw it. Now, one bad moment goes viral and everybody's a critic. Technology's amazing, Dr. Paul, but like flying our jets, if you don't respect the controls, it can crash real fast. Isn't that true, Paul?
Yeah, that's true. That's true about control. You got to have control. No, that's exactly right. Technology is not the enemy, but having a balance is the missing ingredient. So, young people today are brilliant at creating and editing and sharing, but many haven't been taught how to disconnect, to reflect, and to breathe. So, real success doesn't come from likes or followers, it comes from having good character, purpose, and persistence, Commander Drew.
Yeah, them some powerful words there, Doc. Well, here's the truth. Technology should serve us, not own us. The happiest people in the world, places like Finland and Costa Rica, they still value human connection, time outdoors, and gratitude. That's a system reboot I think we all need, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's teach our kids to master the device, not be mastered by it. So, use technology as something to learn, to inspire, to build, but never to measure your worth. Well, progress means using these tools to elevate your life, not escape it. So, Commander Drew, come to think of it, do you see kids in your neighborhood playing outside much these days?
Wow, that's an excellent question. No, Dr. Paul, kids don't play outside like they used to, not like we did in the streets of Harlem and Queens. You know, Playing outside, you get to play in the dirt, you even get to get lost, and you learn from these experiences. And actually, your motor skills are getting better when you play in the dirt and you move objects and you run and you jump and you catch. A lot of these things aren't happening anymore, Dr. Paul, and that was beautifully said. So here's our challenge. Put the phone down sometimes, pick your head up, and engage with life around you. Happiness isn't an app, it's an action. Don't you agree?
Yeah, too. I do agree, Commander Drew. And that action, as you just said, starts with awareness. So use your power wisely, try to stay grounded, stay grateful, and remember the best version of yourself isn't in your feed, it's in your future. You have any more good news, Commander Drew?
I sure do. We do good news here on the Wingman Show because we want to honor the people that are good in this country, and the good outweigh the bad. So, how about this little good news? We may not have flying cars, but guess what? We have flying umbrellas. Paul, back in our day, if it was raining on the flight line, you just got wet. Now they've got flying umbrellas following people around like personal rain drones. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I saw a video with the little drone umbrellas. hovering over one's head. This guy, I guess a guy who made, he went to MIT and was tracking him like a lost puppy.
Can you picture that on an aircraft carrier deck, though? Stand clear, turning props, and drifting umbrellas. Jets, helicopters, and Ensign Johnson's umbrellas going into the intake. Can you imagine that?
It's hard to imagine, but someone's going to try to do that. You know, or come up with a phrase like, I don't hold umbrellas, my umbrellas hold me. But until that battery dies and then you start just standing there in the rain, a very expensive hat. I think it'd be a FOD, foreign object damage hazard, actually.
That's right, FOD. We used to have FOD walk downs. We had to walk the whole carrier deck every morning to pick up little pieces of screws or anything that could go in those intakes. But I'll say this, a hands free umbrella that actually tracks you. Now, that's the first time in history you could walk hand free in the rain and not get wet. It might not work perfectly now, but the technology is coming. It's an amazing thing. Have an umbrella that follows you. All right, everybody, our jet jolt racing the sunrise at 35,000 feet. Welcome back to the Wingman Show. I'm Commander Drew Brown, and I'm here with my main man again, Dr. Paul Thompson. And today's Jet Jolt is all about one of the greatest privileges in aviation, and that's racing the sunrise at 35,000 feet. You remember that doing that, Dr. Paul?
I sure do, Commander Drew. Most folks see the sun come up from the bedroom window or maybe a car or truck windshield. But when you're up high, miles above the earth, way above the clouds, you don't just watch the sunrise, you actually chase it. You're literally flying fast enough to stretch out the dawn.
Well, picture this, Dr. Paul. The world below is pitch black, city lights fading, just a thin orange line on the horizon. You're in smooth air, engines humming, and then slowly the sky starts glowing purple, then red, then gold. It's like God is dimming up the lights on a brand new day. Just for us, Dr. Paul. It's gorgeous when we've seen that, isn't it?
Absolutely. And here's the part our listeners need to hear. The sunrise doesn't just care what yesterday looked like. It's a new day. It's a new flight plan. So pilots don't fly backwards. We take what we learned, set a new heading, and we keep climbing and moving forward, Commander Drew.
So your jet jolt is this. Whatever's behind you is wake turbulence. Learn from it and leave it. Today, you set the altitude, you set the attitude. You're the man today, aren't you, Dr. Paul?
Exactly. And remember, Wingman, you don't have to be in a jet to choose a better sunrise. You just have to decide you're not going to stay in the dark.
That's great stuff there, Dr. Paul. I'd like to thank everybody for watching us on YouTube, listening to us on Apple Podcasts, watching our shorts on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you for all your support and all your letters. We truly appreciate it. Now, if you want to see some badass jets, look at the ones behind us. Dr. Paul has a T-45. That was the new Navy trainer. You want to tell us something about the T-45? Because it's about to go away.
Yeah, it's about to go away. It was new. It came after I left the Navy, actually, but it was a new trainer. It replaced the T2 and the A4, which you and I both loved. Never flew them. There's a picture of me, with an instructor that brought one down to our friend Albert Glenn's flight school years ago. That's me standing with the instructor, if you can see it there. It was cool. Yeah, that airplane's been around again almost 40 years and it's going away. Did you know it's going to be replaced by a trainer, Commander Drew, a Navy jet trainer that has no tail hook?
Yes, we talked about that. And we even talked about what happens when a pilot gets his wings, he goes to the RAG, which is the replacement air group, he gets in his jet, and now he can't land on the carrier. What do they do with him? Do they take his wings? Do they send them to props or helicopters? What do you think they'd do with somebody who can't land on the carrier? Because it's probably the most difficult thing you can ever do in aviation?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess we should I'll try to research that. That's a good question. What do you do? They've already invested a lot of money in him or her, so it's likely they're gonna do something.
Yeah, well, check out what's behind me. What a crazy you see that yellow shirt there directing? The yellow
Yeah.
shirts are the ones who taxi you around the aircraft carrier. And I have a 6, a 7, a 4, F-14, F-8, and an F-4 all put together, flying crazy on the aircraft carrier. But
Mhm.
that's AI for you. I just put a picture of a jet in there and I said, make it go crazy. All right, everybody, we have a website, and our website is wingmenshow.com. That's WINGMENSHOW.com. And on that website, we have a couple things. We have a newsletter every week, and we have a frequent flow line. That's where you guys write us questions and we try to answer them. Well, our newsletter this week is a good one. Are you taxiing through life or actually taking off? One more time, the newsletter. Are you taxiing through life or actually taking off? Go to wingmanshow.com and get that newsletter. All right, we're ready for that frequent flow line. And remember, everybody, our new Wingman Ace, he's just an AI chat box. He's from Chat GPT, and we love him, and he has so much information. But don't ever forget, he is not human, and it's not 100% correct all the time. So I am going to bring Ace online, and I am going to read him our frequent flow line letter from England this year. And it states, Dear Wingman, I'm writing from Manchester, England, and I listen to your show on my commute because it's one of the few places I still hear real optimism from men who's been through something. I'm 37, married, with 2 kids, and on paper, my life looks fine. I've got a steady office job, a small house, and no major crises. But inside, I feel like I'm taxiing around the runway and never actually taking off. Every day feels like the same loop: work, home, screens, sleep, and do it again. I used to have big dreams: travel, starting my own business, getting in shape, even learning to fly one day. But now I catch myself thinking, maybe this is just it. I'm not depressed exactly, but I feel stuck, tired, and older than I am. The problem is, I don't want to blow up my life or be irresponsible. I love my family and don't want to put them at risk. But I'm scared that if I keep living like this, I'll wake up at 60, look back, and realize I taxied for decades and never left the ground. So, Wingman, how do I break out of this holding pattern without crashing the plane of my life? How do I bring some purpose, excitement, and direction back when everything else feels flat? Sincerely, a listener in Manchester, England. What do you think about that, Ace?
Well, dear listener in Manchester, let me tell you, no one's born and just taxi forever. You don't need to pull a hard bank and risk the whole flight. You got a family on board and you care about them. That's honorable. But small course corrections, that's where the magic happens. Pick one little dream, maybe get a flying lesson one weekend or start a mini side project and let that be your first takeoff. Tiny liftoffs add up. You don't have to flip your life upside down to catch some altitude. Just remember, the plane only flies when it's moving forward. So let's throttle up, slow and steady. I believe you got a lot of sky left.
Thank you so much, Ace. I truly appreciate that. Dr. Paul, do you have any information for this guy and our friend in England?
Yeah, from Manchester, England. I was there one time, just for a few minutes, really. Yeah, Manchester, it sounds like you're in a bit of a rut. You're 37. To me, that's still pretty young. Uh, but you're right to think about that because, yeah, if you don't do anything different, you may be 60 and find that you missed a lot of time by not getting outside of the little loop you're in. So I would say it sounds like you just need to try something different. You don't have to do it all at once, but the day-to-day grind of going to work, going to sleep, and doing the same thing gets a little bit boring. But try something a little bit different. Nothing risky. You won't risk your life. Just try something a little different. How about you,
I
Commander
agree
Drew?
with you, Dr. Paul. And what I heard in that letter was something really cool. It said something about working out. What I would do is I would start controlling the things I can really control. Like you can control start working out and starting to eat healthy and start thinking better. And I believe that if you start exercising, a lot of good things come with that. Your brain gets better, you feel better, you want to do more, you actually get motivated to do more. So, like Dr. Paul and Ace said, just start off with something today and just keep going and keep adding. And believe me, life will give you something that you can ever imagine happening if you do the right thing. Because we believe if you do good, you get good. You do bad, you get
This is
bad.
a Wingman PSA. In the sky, your partner has your back. Now, let's get to it.
Climbing in now, systems green.
All right, everybody, it's time for our favorite little part of the show. It's called the Wingmen PSA. And from the 11 facts in life, under fact number 5, know the rules. They change with the game. Know the rules. They change with the game. You know, I always said this, Dr. Paul. You could have the best athlete in the world. He can run the fastest, jump the highest, and even shoot basketballs the best of anybody. But if he doesn't know the rules of the game, he won't last 5 minutes. He'll either be walking or fouling somebody and they're out. So when you change jobs, you can't go and tell people, yeah, well, we used to do it that way. Well, we're not there anymore. Know the rules of where you are because they change with every game, Dr. Paul.
I agree, I agree. It reminds me of, I remember one time I was in Jamaica and I was at this resort. I was playing basketball with this guy who looked like somebody that John Thompson would have recruited out of Georgetown to replace Patrick Ewing. And tremendously physical person, tremendous. Had no idea, but he was uncoordinated. He had no idea how to do anything. And I was kinda like Michael Jordan compared to him, but in that thing, because I kinda knew what I was doing, he had no clue. I still remember that was more than 30 years ago, but you're right, you gotta know the rules and adapt to where you are.
And it's like when we learned in flying, some of the people that came in the Navy that had prior experience with
Mm,
flying, the worst thing you could do is tell an instructor, well, we used to do it like that. Because he would say, well, we're not there anymore. We're in the United States Navy and we do things a little different.
yeah. It'd be a little harsher than that, but yeah, that's you're right.
All right, it's time for our section called the gouge. And what is the gouge? The gouge is shit you need to know, but sometimes nobody tells you that. And we learned that in the Navy. It's little pieces of information that really, really can help you throughout life. So I'm going to get the gouge from Ace. And this is about the power of saying no without burning bridges. All right, Ace, here's the gouge question of the day. A lot of us were raised to be team players. Say yes at work, say yes to family, say yes to every favor. And now we're exhausted, resentful, and feel like everybody owns a piece of our time except us. Ace, what are the practical, real world ways an everyday person can start saying no at work, with friends, and even with family without sounding rude, guilty, or ungrateful? And without damaging important relationships. Break it down, Ace. What should we actually say, and how do we know when it's the right time to draw the line?
All right, here's the gouge. First, pause before answering. Buy a little time. Say, let me check my plate, or I need to think on that so you don't knee jerk yes. Next, frame your no positively. For example, I can't this time, but I'm rooting for you. Or I'm fully committed elsewhere, but I love to support differently. Make it about capacity, not rejection. And when is it time? When saying yes costs you your peace, your values, or your energy. If it drains you, that's your cue to draw that line. It's not just a no, it's a yes to your runway.
That's excellent, Ace. Great, great answer. And I only have a very short answer, and it says that no is a complete sentence. And you need to start learning how to say that because it's all about taking care of yourself. And if you say yes to everybody, you kind of might be saying no to yourself. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I agree. If you spread yourself too thin, like pulling anything too hard, you'll eventually break, and that doesn't help anybody. So you got to slow things down, and if people are pushing you too much, and you're in a position to slow them down, slow down. Don't just feel obligated to work until you just pass out and croak. That's no good. So take care of yourself. Self-care is important, Commander Drew.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Wingman Show. And we've come to the part where we give a wingman story. And you know, the Wingman Show, we like to highlight people who take care of other people who got your six, people who you can look back and say, I feel okay because they're back there watching my back. And we have a wonderful wingman story for you today. It's named The Young Sailor at the Rail. And Dr. Paul, take it away.
Our wingman story, as Commander Drew said, is the young sailor at the rail. The carrier hummed through the night, a floating city wrapped in darkness, its light a thin line against the endless black sea. On the weather deck, under a sky full of stars, a young sailor stood alone at the rail. He was gripping the cold metal so hard that his fingers ached. His eyes were locked on the churning wake below. His home felt a world away. The girlfriend gone quiet. His parents didn't understand why he joined. He had days filled with noise and orders and no space to breathe. But for the first time, he'd wondered if he'd made a huge mistake. Behind him, a hatch opened with a metallic clang. Boots crossed the non-skid, then stopped just short of the rail. Quiet place to think? A calm voice said, or to overthink. The sailor stiffened. Yes, Chief, he muttered, still staring at the sea. Relax, the older man replied, stepping beside him. If I was here to write you up, I wouldn't start with small talk. They stood together in silence, listening to the wind. First cruise? The older man asked. Yes, Chief. He nodded. My first cruise, I came out here every night. Thought about how easy it'd be to just disappear. Figured no one back home would even know which ocean I was in. The younger man turned, just a little surprised. You thought that too? More than once, the older sailor said. Difference is, I finally told somebody. Smartest move I ever made. Weak isn't asking for help. Weak is pretending you're fine when you're drowning. He tilted his head towards the hatch. I know a chaplain who actually listens. How about we walk down there together? You don't need the right words. You just need to show up. I'll have your six. The kid looked back at the water, then slowly released the rail. Okay, he said quietly. They walked off the deck side by side, disappearing into the red-lit passageway, while the carrier kept cutting through the dark. And one young sailor, for the first time in a long time, wasn't facing that darkness alone.
That was a wonderful story. Thank you so much, Dr. Paul. And in the 11 Facts in Life, it actually says power is asking for help and using it. But I did want to say this about chaplains. On the USS Nimitz, we had a chaplain, and I happen to be Jewish. But it doesn't matter out at sea because a chaplain can talk to anybody, any religion, even if you're an atheist. The chaplains in the military are some of the finest human beings I have ever met. All right, everybody out there, whatever you think is important, whatever you think is beautiful, and most importantly, whatever makes you happy, may you have that today and forever. I pray for peace.
I pray for peace too, Commander Drew. It's good seeing you again. And we appreciate all those who listen, like, and share our message. Consider sharing this with somebody you know or you don't know. Send us something good, something positive. We try to be positive. We'd appreciate a subscriber base increase. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. That way you'll get a notice every time we come out with a new episode. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, A positive review would help us with the algorithm. So we'd appreciate that. So thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and refer to use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth, and goodwill towards all men and women.